What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the show, guys. Glad to have you here, guys. We're back with another reaction on 10 to Life, guys. Remember me talking to you guys about 10 to Life and talking to you about how she was one of my favorite channels, and she is, besides Harsh Reality, guys. But we're back. So her video is actually called Shanquella Robinson beaten to death by friends on luxury vacation in Mexico. Breaking news update. Guys, I actually mentioned this to you guys about Shanquella. Told you I was going to cover this. And it was unfortunate, guys. And you will not believe how her friends, supposedly her friends, turned their back on her and beat her to death, guys. Anyways, guys, but first, love yourself, like yourself, be nothing but yourself. Like and subscribe to the channel. It's highly appreciated. Without further ado, guys, let's jump right into the video.
Too much, maybe she ate or drank something that didn't quite settle, or maybe even coming down with a little bug, but nothing too serious. So she told Khalil to call her back and keep the family informed on how she was doing. Salamandra also told Khalil to have Shanquella call her a little bit later when she was awake and feeling better. She wasn't too worried at the time because she knew that her daughter was in good hands with her best friend Khalil, and she knew Khalil was there taking care of her, and most likely Shanquella was just suffering from a pretty brutal hangover. So Khalil called Salamandra back just a little while later, but this time he informed her that there were now 3 ambulances at the villa and that they were trying to resuscitate Shanquella. Now her mom was very confused. She had just spoken to Khalil not too long ago, and he had said that her daughter was just resting because she didn't feel well. So she wanted to know what had happened in that short period of time between Khalil's first call to her and now this call. How could things have changed so drastically in such a short window of time?
And now, mind you guys, this is actually one of her best friends. She knows everybody in this group, guys. There's nobody in this group that she does not know, and she hasn't been around half her life. So you're supposed to trust everybody like this because they've had your back the whole time. Well, this is what she gets for trusting people. She gets killed at Mexico, guys. And you will not believe what she actually happens to her, guys. Anyways, guys, let's get right back into the video.
Khalil put her on hold for a little bit, and then he returned to the phone, and he told her that Shanquella had alcohol poisoning, and that was the reason this was so severe. So Salamandra was still calm at this point because she trusted Khalil and had no reason not to believe him. He was Shanquella's best friend, so surely he would have been taking good care of her and making sure that she got the medical attention that she needed. But unfortunately, Khalil said that the medics were unable to save Shanquella, and he informed his best friend's mother that Shanquella was now deceased. Shanquella, at just 25 years old, had died from alcohol poisoning less than 24 hours into her trip to Mexico. With the trip ending abruptly and in tragedy, Khalil and the 5 friends all hurried back from Mexico. When the friends arrived back home, Khalil went to visit Shanquella's mom and brought all of her daughter's luggage as well. In fact, he went and visited her mother every day after he got home. And every time he visited, he made it a point to mention how the alcohol poisoning took Shanquella's life. One day when he came to visit, he even brought Winter and Dejanay with him to the house. They too told Salamandra that her daughter had died from alcohol poisoning, and even made it a point to say that there had been absolutely no fighting that happened while they were in Mexico. A very odd thing to say when nobody even brought up fighting. However, Salamandra began to start to second guess what the truth really was here, because each time the friends would recount details of the trip, they all had different stories as to what happened. Each one of the people that was there with her was telling different stories. Why was that?
And that's how it normally starts. Is people starts telling different stories, different lies at different times, different places. Stories don't add up. So what is it? That's how the cops get their information. That's how we listen to what someone says and play reverse psychology on their brain. That's what happens, guys. And that's what's happened in this whole case. See, Shanquella was actually an upcoming millionaire, guys. She was a young girl with a whole life in front of her, guys. So What happened here? Was it over jealousy? Because she had a business that was actually bringing in lots of money. Was it over money? Because the whole thing's a big lie. So somebody lost their life over a lie, over jealousy. Jealousy turns into envy. You know, I spoke on one of my lives the other night talking about how somebody, you know, the type that, well, if you can't have her, I can't, no one can have her. Or if I can't have him, no one can have him. That's what type this reminds me of. Anyways, guys, we're going to get back to the video, but pay attention to what she says right here.
Khalil also was acting a little weird when he was visiting her. He was a bit standoffish and almost nervous-like. He would pace back and forth, rubbing his beard whenever he talked about the trip with her. But what was he nervous about? According to him, Shanquella died from alcohol poisoning. So what is there to be nervous about? If all the friends were being truthful, he shouldn't be nervous for any reason, right? Or is this just how he acted in a grieving state? He had just lost his best friend, so was his behavior able to easily be explained away? Or maybe he really was nervous. But why? All of Shanquella's family were waiting for her autopsy report to be completed so that they could get answers, and also so that they could bring Shanquella's body home and lay it to rest. After what felt like an eternity, the autopsy report was finally completed and filed, but it left everybody with more questions than answers. The autopsy report determined that Shanquella died from a broken neck and suffered severe spinal cord injuries as well, including atlas luxation. Atlas luxation is a condition where unstable or excessive movement is present in the first two vertebrae of your neck, and it can be caused by a traumatic injury, which this now all was pointing to Shanquella being beaten to death, not alcohol poisoning. In fact, the autopsy report showed that there was 0 alcohol in her system. So that story that she died from alcohol poisoning couldn't have even been remotely true.
So picture this, guys. You have your daughter going on vacation, an up-and-coming millionaire with a business worth hundreds of thousands of dollars, Shanquella's was. She goes on vacation. You know she's safe because she's with her friends. So you think. You get a phone call saying your daughter's sick. The next thing you know, your daughter's unresponsive, like Shanquella was. So the friends come over, continue to come over, talk to you, say how much they love your daughter, and you come to find out it was from blunt trauma to her back and her neck. This is the reason why she passed away. Does these people not have no heart? They can't have. And that's the problem with this world today. Money is the rule of all evil. And there was money dollar signs in these people's eyes. It's sad, but it happens all the time, especially in a different country. But it gets better, guys. Listen to what Mexico is going to do about this now. Let's get back to the video.
You have to drink quite a bit of alcohol in order to actually get alcohol poisoning, and yet there wasn't any alcohol in her system. You can also see on the autopsy report, one box reads approximate time between injury and death, and the coroner put 15 minutes. But get this, officials at the U.S. State Department in Mexico deny that there was any foul play involved in her death. If she had died from alcohol poisoning, for one, she would have had alcohol in her system at the time of her death, and it would take longer than 15 minutes between her last drink and her time of death. So how was it only 15 minutes between the injury and the time of death? Obviously, it wasn't alcohol poisoning, as all of these friends kept saying it was. So what actually happened? And also, was Shanquella already dead when Khalil called her mom just a couple hours earlier that day? Or did she pass away in between the first time that he called and then the time that he called the second time when he said that the medics had arrived? When did that 15 minutes happen? Once the autopsy report came back, her family became a little suspicious, again, of all of these friends that went on this trip. Their stories had been inconsistent, Khalil had been acting nervously, and now that the autopsy results were out, Khalil quit coming over to visit with her mother altogether. The family suspicion grew even bigger when a short video of the trip was secretly released by somebody in that group that went to Mexico. The video is very graphic and very hard to watch, and it is absolutely disgusting in so many ways. The video shows a woman who has been confirmed by family to be Shanquella, and she's in a one-sided fight with another woman who is said to be Dejanay Jackson. The video shows a naked Shanquella being punched in the head and face multiple times, and also being thrown to the ground. After Shanquella was thrown to the floor, she sustained more blows to the head, face, and back of the neck. In the background of the video, you can hear somebody, who allegedly is Khalil, saying, "Quella, can you at least fight back?" And to this, you can hear Shanquella reply, "No." In the video, you can see the others standing there on the sidelines watching this fight happen. You can hear more in the background of others encouraging Dejanay while she is continuously hitting Shanquella. Not one person stepped in to try and break up this fight. Not one person can be heard telling them to stop. And not one person tried to protect Shanquella. But instead, they stood there and they watched it happen.
So now you have, once again, lifelong friends that you go on vacation with. A dream vacation, guys. Up and coming millionaires. Businesses worth hundreds of thousands of dollars, guys. And then just one day you get in a fight in Mexico on vacation. Something's not right here, once again. See, we see this too many times, guys. With people that wants to lash out at people for jealousy, money, whatever else it may be. Maybe they're having homicidal tendencies. Maybe they had this planned all along. And that's what it looks like. What better story is it, guys? Let's get her to Mexico. She's an up and coming millionaire. She got business worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. So let's get her to Mexico. Let's get her drink. Let's have her. Everybody thinks she drank too much. She passed away. I believe it was at least to embarrass her. I believe they had it planned, but not to the point of what it became. And see, whenever they came home, it goes to tell me they don't even know whether she was drinking or not, because they said she was actually died from alcohol poisoning. So the friends said, autopsy said there was none in her system. So a Maple Leaf story. What better can that be, guys? So they're back in the United States and they don't know what Mexico's doing. They're still doing autopsies on Shanquella. So the mom gets a phone call and says, she didn't even have alcohol in her system. So they quit coming around. If you remember what I said towards the video, I said just that. Only reason why they was making themselves irrelevant is because they didn't want to be fingers pointed towards them for her death. But was they even questioned? Did they leave Mexico too early? Did Mexico even question the other friends? Or so-called friends? You hear Shanquella in that fight saying, I can't fight back. I can't move. I can't fight back. Lifelong friends did this of Shanquella's. Anyways, guys, let's get right back to the video.
All while recording a video on their phone. So at one point you can see that somebody else actually has their phone out as well. And at first it looks like they're recording the fight also. But if you look a little closer, you can see that this person is actually on FaceTime with somebody else. And it's being speculated that that person was Nazir Wiggins on that FaceTime call. the friend who had arrived one day after the full group of friends. So this video is, of course, hard for anyone to watch, but especially for Shanquella's parents. Shanquella's father, Bernard Robinson, said it hurts to know that others were in the room watching as his only child was attacked, and he hopes that those responsible are arrested and sentenced to life in prison. Her dad said that his daughter was not the fighting type, so she would never get into a physical altercation, leading him to theorize that this was a planned attack. He said it was never a fight. She didn't fight. They attacked her. And the video does support Bernard's point about his daughter's temperament, as Shanquella was not fighting back during this assault that was caught on camera. And he says that it all feels like a setup to him. He added that he was able to see autopsy photos of his daughter, and he says that you can clearly see that Shanquella's eyes were swollen, her lip busted, and that she had bruising on her face and a knot on her forehead. A source close to one of the girls that was on the trip has also come forward and said that Shanquella was also allegedly grabbed by the neck and slammed to the ground by Winter Donovan. This source said that there was a second video that has not been released that allegedly shows Winter with her arms around Shanquella's neck and then slamming her onto the ground. This source said, from what I hear, there is another video and it shows a light-skinned girl, I'm presuming is Winter, with hands around Shanquella's neck and slamming her on the ground. After Winter slammed her on the ground, Shanquella doesn't move anymore. However, the U.S. State Department officials in Mexico have reportedly and inexplicably maintained that a police investigation did not show signs of foul play, despite the autopsy report suggesting Shanquella was the victim of violence. With the autopsy report and pictures and the now viral video, how can they still be saying that there was no foul play involved in her death here? It makes absolutely no sense. After this video was leaked, one of the friends that was on the trip, Nazir Wiggins, went on Instagram Live to clear his own name in a sort. In this video, he explains how he had arrived at the villa on the 29th instead of with everybody else on the 28th. He says that he called the group when his plane landed at 2:16 p.m. to get the address to the villa, and then he says it took him about an hour to get to the villa due to traffic. He claims that he arrived to the villa around 3:20 p.m. that day. He goes on to explain how he helped Shanquella once he got there and says that she wasn't dead when he got there, although according to the autopsy, she died at 3 p.m. that day. So either he arrived before 3 p.m. or she was in fact dead before he arrived at that villa. A lot of what he has to say contradicts what the autopsy says and a lot of the other information. He says that a nurse came and gave her saline, which we have not heard anywhere else, unless he was maybe talking about the paramedics when they arrived. He also says that she was in the game room and then by the toilet, yet the autopsy says that she was in the living room. So his timeline that he tries to explain is kind of confusing, but you can listen to it here and tell me what you think.
So I'm like, let me extend my birthday, and I'm going to go to this trip. Because I got asked to go on the trip in June, but I didn't reply because I didn't know what I was doing for my birthday, since the next birthday was the next week after mine. So, where I was at? Oh, yes, I left on Saturday. The trip was from Friday to Monday, October 28th, 29th, 30th. 31st going home. Didn't even make it there. So
you know what this sounds like to me, guys? This is a person who sat there and done out the timelines of him being there, flying out there and leaving, where he stayed at, where he slept at, how many pillows he laid with, and how many threads his cover had in his cover. That's what type of dude this is. This is a type of dude who thought out everything and then still messed it up. You can clearly tell this guy is 100% nervous about what he's saying. And I would be too. There was a young lady that lost her life due to somebody beating her. Not because of natural causes, because of somebody thinking, well, being jealous of something that will come out in the long run, because what else was it over? And I believe she was set up. I believe all this stuff was planned. It happened too soon. It happened too quickly. They was getting ready to go out and do something. Shanquella was getting ready. And before the videos. Everybody's like, are you guys ready to go? It happened that fast. This is all talked about. This was set up to take her to another country and beat the crap out of this girl. And they ended up killing this girl. Now the second girl is said to choke her and slam her on the ground. And after that, Shanquella doesn't move. How are you going to say that that wasn't, her death wasn't from being beat to death? The autopsy report shows everything that you see in the video. Next, are you going to tell us how much pounded forceage it takes to slam somebody to do whatever happened to her? No. This is something that's going to be looked over. And it's sad because we've had Kylie Rodney case. Look at that. And I'm hoping this does not get looked over, guys. This is 100% the people's fault that laid their hands on Shanquella. Anyways, guys, let's see what else he has to say.
I get off my flight around like 2:16 Mexico time. I guess we 2 hours ahead. 2:16 p.m. I make a phone call. To everybody who there. Like, I need the address. So during this phone call, that's the first time I heard that Quilla wasn't feeling good. They told me that Quilla was sick and she was showing signs of alcohol poisoning. And they got that because one of their friends told them that they were seeing signs. So she was showing symptoms of alcohol poisoning. But I didn't know it was a fight.
And there wasn't no alcohol in her system. So what do you have to say now? I would really like to hear every one of these people's opinion on what happened to Shanquella now. Alcohol poisoning. Did you guys not do your research? The lady had no alcohol in her system. Anyways, guys, let's see what else the city has to say.
Hold on. I got my Bible. And I'm gonna put this blunt down. Because I'm not lying. I'm not gonna lie on that. I'm not gonna do it. I'm not saving nobody's ass. I'm not protecting my ass. I'm just coming here to keep it real. Because y'all in my DMs going crazy. And all this posting my address and stuff. Like, y'all can go there if y'all want. But it's not gonna be pretty. But when I got there, it took us an hour. My taxi driver, it took us an hour to get to the villa because there was traffic. I don't know why. So I got to the villa around 3:26. Instantly, as soon as I go in there, I go to Quilla. Quilla didn't leave my side, none of that, till the nurse came. But I got too far ahead. So Quilla was laying on the couch in the game room. The fucking villa was like a big ass mansion, no upstairs, all tile on the wall, tile on the floor, straight tile, nothing else. So it was just a big ass villa. I don't know if y'all can view it on the website. Go to Cabo Villas and look at how big this shit is and what it look like. But you're gonna see. So when I got there, she was in the game room. They told me she was not feeling good, so I instantly go to her, put her on her side, get a bag, and all that. So I'm sitting right next to her the whole time. I was crossing my heart and hope that I was there the whole time.
So my question to you, sir, is what did you do after you found out she didn't have no alcohol in her system? You're her best friend, correct? Or all you guys are supposed to be her best friend. So why are we supposed to believe you? Just because you showed up late? That looks even more suspicious at that point. But there's another story saying that she died at 11 o'clock or 3 o'clock, and you didn't arrive at the villa until after 3 o'clock. So she would have already been gone. And who's the nurse that come and visited her? Do you mean the ambulance? The paramedics? The EMT? Is that what you're talking about? I get it that you're all upset and stuff, but It doesn't seem like you're very upset in this video. But you laid next to her and everything else. Go ahead. Tell us the rest of your story. Anyways, guys, let's get right back to the video.
In the game room, and then they was talking about cooking, so we made it to the living room. I put on some soft music, sitting with her, rubbing her head, just chilling, waiting until the nurse came, because that's what I was informed that was happening. At first, I was told that it was a male coming, and then a female showed up. So, by that time, I skipped another thing. Quilla wasn't found dead. She wasn't found dead. The maids found her slumped over the toilet in her room. That's what they did find her, slumped over her toilet in her room. That's what I was told. Quilla was not dead when I got there. Yeah, boom. So it's like, okay, so when I get in there, I go in, I see Quilla, I see she chilling, I put her aside, I go out and make that video where I'm talking about I'm here, that I Quilla get up. So I'm thinking like, damn, we got stuff to do, ATVs, a boat, dinner. I missed the chefs, I missed everything. Anyways, fuck that. So I'm like, damn, I'm thinking, Quilla, let's get up. I say, everybody that know me heard me say this shit. That was my first video when I got there, or second, because I made a video of me pulling up to the villa. But he was cutting up the guy. I tried to get the timestamp for y'all, but that's not going to work. So I guess the real FBI or whatever had to put those right timelines together. But I'm going to start with the NCB. That faggot is so stupid and got y'all believing everything that's wrong. I was not there till the next day. I didn't see a fight. I didn't know it was a fight. I didn't know it was a video. I didn't know they did any harm, anything. I went in there and told it was alcohol poisoning, so that's what I helped her as. I didn't.
So you go to tell me that you didn't notice her black eyes? You didn't notice her eyes swelled shut? You didn't notice the bruising on the back of her head? But I thought you laid right next to her. So what's your story now? If you wasn't there at the fight, but you say you didn't arrive until her death time was 3 o'clock. You didn't arrive until after 3 o'clock. But they found her slumped over the toilet? Well, that goes along with the story of her being alcohol poisoned. For sure. So my question is this: who moved her to the toilet? Because if she had that wrong with her, she's probably not walking because she's already gone, guys. So this story that you're telling, if I could see through this, I know the FBI seeing through all of it. But go ahead, tell us the rest of your story.
Leave her side. I put on soft music, Summer Walker rubbing her head till the nurse came in. Nobody even talked about the nurse. Nobody even said the nurse came. None of this stuff. So I'm really not understanding where this story is coming from and why it's out here like this, because it's wrong. It's wrong. And for y'all to be attacking me, an innocent soul, like, I'm really innocent as fuck. I went there to enjoy my birthday. Like, to enjoy my birthday and to really just goddamn have fun. I didn't have not 1 second of fun. I didn't take one shot, didn't smoke one blunt, didn't do anything. I went straight to Quilla. She was not found dead. She was found unresponsive. Yes, unresponsive. She was unresponsive. I tried to get her to talk to me and all that, but it was none of that. There was none of that going on. Oh shit. Yeah, but other than that, I did. Oh yeah, I know y'all probably asking that. When I walked in there, I didn't really notice the knot on her head until the nurse pointed it out. I did see the bump on her lip. She did have a blood vessel busting her eye, and that's it. But I didn't really go in there like, damn, y'all jumped her, y'all beat her ass, what's going on? Like, could they know? Man, and nobody even told me about nothing. I was blind to everything. I'm literally in there giving her my all. Like, come on, girl, we was 2,000 miles away from home. 2,000 miles away from home. Don't nobody deserve this. Damn, 51 questions. Bro, why is y'all talking about the boys that y'all kill y'all friend? I wasn't there. I don't have those answers for you from Friday to 3 o'clock when I got to Cabo.
So, you seen her bump on her eye. You seen the bump on her lip. You seen her slumped over the toilet. What was your thought then? How did she get to the toilet? That's my question. Was she at the toilet when you found her? Because you said you was in the bed rubbing her head. So you had to help her or somebody else to the toilet, correct? Because you said that she was unresponsive. Anyways, guys, let's see what else he has to say.
I just don't have them answers. I posted my flight itinerary. When I got there, I can't make that up. I can't. I really don't know what else to do but show y'all fucking the real tickets if I could even find them when I landed and didn't land. But I could post the video, I could show the video, it's gonna show the timestamps because it's in my archive. I got there at 3-something p.m. I made my first video at 4:26. That's me outside by the pool. Saying, Quilla, get up, let's go. We got stuff to do. Let's go have fun. There was no fun in that. There was no fun in that. There was nothing good coming from that, man. I went in there, whipped my bag, put it down, went to the game room, went to the living room, stayed there. The worst time of my life. And now y'all on here trying to say I killed her. Me, the nigga that got there a day late. A day late. The nigga y'all didn't see in the video. I have 1,030,000 tattoos. Do I sound like I was in that video? Go listen to it again. Do you hear my voice in that video?
But now you're at a pool swimming. So you arrive at 3 o'clock. Her death was stated at 3 o'clock. So how did you lay next to her? You said she was found by the toilet, but you said she was in bed rubbing her head. But then you go on to say at 4:25 you go to the swimming pool. And where was she at whenever you came back? Is that when she was by the toilet? No, Shanquella was killed by blunt forces. And you're still sitting in this Mexico with the people who did it, and you hear the nurses say what she says, and what did you do then? What did everybody else do then? Oh, it's alcohol poisoning. Because that's what everybody seems to jump to. Suicide, alcohol poisoning, overdose. But it wasn't. She had no alcohol in her system. Neither did she have drugs in her system. Anyways, guys, let's jump right back into the video.
Like, come on, bro. Y'all niggas is really stupid. The bitches is stupid. The old ladies, all y'all are stupid. I don't care who's asking me because I have all my timestamps. I've been real close and cordial with everybody who really means something. So everybody else, this was just to give y'all some comfort. Because I'm not doing it no more. I'm not responding to nothing else. And all the death threats, I can go with y'all and move. Everybody. I turn me to a pack. All that shit y'all talking, y'all just talking out your ass out of hurt because y'all listening to social media. Social media. Of course, my story is going to be different because I got there a day late. I can only tell you what I know from 3:30 till Sunday when I left. That's all I can do. I really can't give nobody no other answer from Friday because they didn't tell me. I didn't go in there, sit down and make no alibi with nobody. I didn't know nothing. They didn't tell me nothing. Cross my heart and hope to die on this Bible right here. I don't know nothing. I didn't sit and make no alibi. I didn't even have time. I got there an hour later. The nurse came in the door. The nurse came in the door. Tried to help Quilla, tried to put some salines in her, but her energy, she didn't have no electrolytes. Her oxygen was low, so she couldn't find them. But y'all don't understand what I went through. Y'all don't understand. Y'all won't understand. So y'all keep posting my address and all that shit. Y'all have fun. Y'all have fun. Y'all know y'all hurt me. I said, I'm not hurting me. I'm not bothered by this. Because I know the truth. Me and God know the truth. To the house, I talked to the on this internet, and I cut the comments off because I know y'all being mad here. What's the word?
And honestly, just the fact that he is swearing on the Bible in his video and, while smoking a blunt just doesn't sit right with me. It feels a little theatrical, in my opinion. Since this video went out, he has deleted it from his profile. But that isn't the only thing that's been deleted. 4 out of the 6 people that went on this trip have now changed their phone numbers, and none of them have answered any calls or text messages since the autopsy was released. All social media profiles have also been removed, and Desjardins actually left town and is allegedly hiding out in Connecticut. There are a ton of red flags in this case, but the biggest one, or the most damning one, I should say in my opinion, is that Shanquella's autopsy report says the time of her death was 3 p.m., but yet a news source says that a police report states that the authorities were called at 6:15 p.m. So, was she dead for 3 whole hours before the police were even called? In one interview, Shanquella's father said that they left her there for the maid to find her, and later he says that they didn't even try to get her help or anything. Is that what happened? Did she die at 3 p.m. after the supposed video of Winter slamming her into the ground and not getting back up? And then did all of these friends leave the villa, and a maid is the one who found Shanquella in the living room and called the police? In this post on Twitter that has not been confirmed by anybody, somebody states that the friends stole $10,000 from Shanquella and also made her pay for that Airbnb, that villa, which was $1,300 a night. But it continues and says that Bernard has confirmed that there is in fact a second video of Winter grabbing Shanquella's neck and slamming her to the ground, and Shanquella doesn't get up again. Now, if that
So, there we have it. So, money was a problem. They was jealous of Shanquella and her up and coming. She had a business worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. So they stole $10,000 from her too. Guys, you know as well as I do, whenever you set something up, you know how much money the person has. You know where it's at. You know all about her. Alcohol poisoning in another country, in Mexico, was all they needed to get away with this murder. But what they failed to notice is she had no alcohol in her system. So where does this put the so-called friends that murdered Shanquella? And it's easy enough to say that they actually murdered Shanquella. The beatings that they had done to Shanquella matches the autopsy report of the damage that was done to her neck and her spinal cord. But how did she make it to the toilet? The guy on her phone said that he arrived around 3 o'clock. Then he switched it to 4 o'clock. Stories are already flipping around. Now you got friends hiding. They know what they did, and they know what's coming to them. Justice will be served to them. They took a young girl's life for no apparent reason over jealousy. And they did it in Mexico. Anyways, guys, let's jump right back into the video.
that's true, has he seen the video? And if so, how? Who showed it to him? In a police report that had not yet been made public and was just released earlier this week, we're now learning more details as to what really went on inside that villa during those 3 hours. A doctor was called, and the account in this police report is extremely difficult to hear. The information from the police report shows that at 2:13 p.m. on October 29th, medical help was summoned to Villa Linda 32. Around an hour later, Dr. Carolina Bertiz Ornelas Gutierrez of the American Medical Center, which is a local hospital in Mexico, arrived to treat Shanquella. It's unclear in the police report who called for the medical help, but the reporting person listed is Winter Donovan, and Winter is one of the 6 friends who had traveled with Shanquella to Cabo. Since the report, Winter's phone number that was listed on this police report has been disconnected. The police report excerpt is in Spanish, but according to the document, Dr. Gutierrez says that she was told that Shanquella had drank a lot of alcohol and that the medical call was for Shanquella to be given an IV. The report indicates that Dr. Gutierrez found a female, which is understood to be Shanquella, with stable vital signs but dehydrated, unable to communicate verbally and appearing to be inebriated. The doctor reported that she believed Shanquella needed to be transferred to a hospital, but apparently her friends insisted that she be treated inside the villa. Dr. Gutierrez attempted an IV but was unsuccessful, and it's unclear what medication was in that IV. The information from this police report says that the doctor was there for close to an hour when Shanquella began having a seizure. The convulsions from the seizure lasted less than a minute. At this point, the patient's friend named Winter Donovan apparently called 911 to request an ambulance, and this was around 4:20 p.m. In the meantime, the patient presented with difficulty breathing and a lowered pulse, and they gave her rescue breaths. So the doctor, along with a friend, began administering CPR at 4:49 p.m. when the doctor detected that Shanquella had stopped having a pulse. Police arrived and talked with the doctor who was treating Shanquella at 5:25 p.m. It's not clear from the information in the police report exactly what time an ambulance arrived from that 911 call. The report information indicates that paramedics administered a total of 14 rounds of CPR, 5 doses of adrenaline, and 6 discharges of AED shocks, all without success. They were unable to revive Shanquella, so Dr. Gutierrez declared her dead at 5:57 p.m. So again, none of this in line with that phone call that Khalil made to Shanquella's mom, saying that she was just feeling under the weather, had drank too much, and that she was going to be fine. In reality, what this really shows is that the so-called friends knew something was wrong with Shanquella, that they called a doctor to the villa thinking, oh, maybe an IV will help her, not realizing that the injuries that she sustained in this fight were deadly. Then when the doctor says this IV isn't working and suggests calling the police, they insist on her being treated in the villa because at that point, in my opinion, they know the walls are closing in, they know that the jig is almost up and that they are going to be caught for this. But still, hours pass until 911 is called. Shanquella has seizures, she's not breathing, CPR is administered, shocks are administered, all of these life-saving measures, and nothing saved her life. It was too late. I'm sure her parents have a lot more information than we do, and I hope that the truth really does come out. The FBI has now thankfully intervened on behalf of Shanquella's parents, who reported her death after Mexican authorities suggested there was no foul play, and an investigation has now been initiated for femicide/homicide. Now, femicide is considered a hate crime in which a woman is killed because of her gender. An expert on femicide in that region of Mexico said it is supposed to be investigated in a very particular way that is sensitive to the gender dynamics of the crime. When a woman is killed in Mexico, authorities are often required to launch their own investigation as a femicide. And he explained that investigators look into whether she was killed because of her gender or if DV was involved. After 2 long weeks, Shanquella's parents finally got her body transported back to North Carolina from Mexico. And it was not easy. It cost them over $6,000 to transport her body back to North Carolina so that they could finally lay her to rest. Shanquella's funeral was held this past Saturday and hundreds of people showed up. And let me tell you, her service, from what you can see in photos and videos, was absolutely beautiful. It really showed who Shanquella was and just how many people truly loved her. Her sunset color casket was brought in with a horse and carriage with beautiful white horses pulling it in. Doves were also released, and it was just simply beautiful. I truly hope that her parents do get peace of mind soon, and I hope that whoever is responsible for this beautiful woman's death is held accountable. Because to me, all of the inconsistencies and all of the red flags that we have going on in this case seem pretty damning, that everybody who was there and everybody in this villa knows exactly what happened, and they are all just covering up for each other. So much so that Shanquella's supposed best friend Khalil even brought Dejanay to Shanquella's mother's house when they returned from Mexico. How could you, as her best friend, bring her alleged killer to the house to offer condolences to her mother and to sell this fake story of alcohol poisoning?
Well, I could actually answer that, because now this goes back to the point of them not really realizing that this video is going to be leaked out of what actually happened. That goes back to them saying that in another country that she has alcohol poisoning. That goes on back to them saying, bringing a nurse into the villa to treat her, when the nurse says, from her expert opinion, that she needs to go to hospital. The people says no, because they know what the hospital is going to find. And if they save her life, then Shanquella could actually tell them what happened, guys. That's the reason why Shanquella lost her life, is because they was trying to cover everything up. But instead, they let their friend die. They beat their friend and stole $10,000 from her because of what she was becoming in her life. 100% jealousy. That's what I believe, guys. But first, I'm going to get out of here, guys. But love yourself, like yourself, be nothing but yourself. Like, subscribe to the channel. It's highly appreciated. Your boy Deuce is out. Thank you, guys.